Good morning. I'm back again with Alejandro, and today we're tackling the infamous Amazon, where they just had the recent Amazon Prime Day between October 10 and 11, where there were 25 million items bought for just Prime delivery of same day or next day, and then over 150 million items from independent Amazon sellers. So there's a lot going on with Amazon, including what's been talked about, this project Nessie, to help with e-commerce operations, and we're going to try to dive into Amazon. So thank you so much, Alejandro, for coming back and talking about Amazon with us.
Hello, Michelle. Hello, everybody. It is a pleasure, as always, to be here with you. As you said, Amazon has such a big numbers that is very hard to understand, and we are going to try to do the best to segment it and make people understand better what the company is all about, just because even though we all know it's a e-commerce retailer, the biggest one of all, there is a lot of things that will help us grasp really into the business. So let's get started with this. So I started with the values just because I believe Amazon really works through these values. I mean, I feel there's many companies that say something in their values or their mission, their vision, but they don't really live up to them. I do feel, from my experience and a lot of people I talk to about the subject, that Amazon values are very ingrained in their culture. So Earth's most customer-centric company. They are customer obsessed rather than competitor focused. And I think this is very important because I feel most companies are always checking on the competition to see what they're doing. I just think Amazon is more trying to get ahead, trying to innovate. I mean, obviously they check their competition, but they are very, as they said, customer obsessed and not that competitor focused. They have a big passion for invention. So basically, Jeff Bezos talks a lot in his shareholder letters, which I mean are an amazing read, very advice for everybody here. How they try to do big bets, but always measuring them, because a lot of companies like do big bets, but they don't really measure. Bezos is very customer focused, but at the same time, he's always looking into the math. And I mean, he's not with Amazon anymore, but that is ingrained in the culture. Commitment to operational excellence, long-term thinking. I'll talk a little more about that at the end, because I have some personal things that obviously I would like you to comment on that too, Michelle.
Sounds good.
So what they do, they are the biggest online retailer in the world. Through this channel, they sell directly to the consumer and act as the intermediary for third-party sellers, where they are charged a fee. I mean, the intermediary sellers. They also have the business of AWS, where they offer compute, storage, databases offerings, and other business fulfillment, advertising, and digital content subscriptions. Later on, we're gonna see the division of their income, just because I think that is probably one of the most important, or the most important thing to really understand a company. So how they make money? The three big segments, how they divide in their annual report, is North America, International, and AWS. We can see here how North America keeps growing. International, curiously, hasn't grown as much as if you see the numbers, which is crazy, because like in North America, they were 236 billion in 2020, and now they have almost 315 billion. That's almost 50%, a little less. In the other side, International just grew like 10% in those 3 years. AWS is crazy. I mean, they almost doubling. Oh, sorry. So here, this is an important one, just because, as I said, it really tells you a lot about how that company is working and what are they trying to do. So as we see, online stores from 2020 to 2022, they grew only 10%. In the other side at third-party sellers went from 80 billion to 120 billion. That's 50% growth. And again, that AWS part, I mean, doubling like it was before. And what I find very interesting here is how they really grow. I mean, they started with books, so building this whole ecosystem, and now they're going. I mean, obviously now they sell everything, but as we see, they're going from trying to focus more in the third-party sellers because this is a less capital-intensive business. Obviously, it's more profitable. They don't have to invest. They don't have to buy the inventory, which makes it more profitable for them. And I also believe, I mean, obviously this is not talked about, is that whenever somebody, let's say, sues them for being a monopolistic operator, I mean, obviously it's not true because they have 100 and hundreds of millions of businesses inside them. So it's really basically just like the person that transports the goods and helps other little businesses sell more. That FBA business fulfilled by Amazon, I mean, obviously it comes through here because there is different segments for that third party. I mean, there was some, for example, you buy something at a Walmart for 40 and you sell it through Amazon for 60. That was one of the segments. But FBA is fulfilled by Amazon. So basically you buy the item and put it in one of the big warehouses for Amazon. And this is good for Amazon because they have the inventory. They are able to fulfill that promise to get those items to the customer quick, since it is in their stores, but they don't have to spend on that. So, I mean, they just charge a fee, they charge a rent for the merchandise being there. So I think this part about Amazon is amazing. So I really feel they are trying to go to third-party sellers more and more, kind of like what a lot of the food businesses have gone when they used to own all the retail stores and now they are franchising. It's kind of, I mean, it's not the same thing, but that's kind of what comes to my mind.
Yeah, and it must be really successful because there are a lot of YouTubers who talk about how much money they've made doing FBA, and there's so many YouTube advertisements for that sometimes. So I think that there's probably something there that's working for both Amazon and the third-party folks getting all the inventory for Amazon too.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, I mean, it's giving people the opportunity to build a business where, I mean, obviously, if you start your own business selling to people all around the internet, it's not that easy. In Amazon, you have like this base channel to sell to them. So as you said, I agree, is a benefit for both. Here, a little on the balance sheet, and what I underline here is very interesting because as you see, and as I was talking before, total current assets for the first time is less than total current liabilities. This is 2022. I'm sorry, I forgot to put that part, but obviously we'll make the graph look a little smaller if I did that because there was another numbers. So for the first time on 2022, total current liabilities is higher than total current assets, which means basically Amazon is being financed by their suppliers, which is what we always talk about, that float, and always trying to get your suppliers to finance your business because that's inventory you don't have tie up to the business, which makes it obviously more profitable, bigger return on invested capital, and all the good things that we like as investors.
Yeah, so it's kind of counterintuitive because you would think if you have more liabilities than assets, that sounds bad, but this is more in a short-term way where, like, say if you don't have to pay a supplier for 30 days, that means you have that cash to do something else with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, as you can see, is current liabilities. So it's money you don't pay interest on. Nothing on current liabilities you pay interest on. Obviously, when, I mean, the long-term debt, you do pay interest on them, but when total current, I mean, this is the working capital part. So as you said, I mean, it's great not to have to be able to sell stuff, services and all, but you don't have to pay for the inventory until you are paid. And you can make that money, make more money while you pay.
Yeah.
Obviously from our biggest guy, Mr. Buffett, from his book. Why is the focus on the customer? And something, this always, I remember Jeff Bezos talking one time and he said something, what is something that customer is always going to want? Obviously, a customer is always going to want lower prices, more availability, faster delivery, more selection, and I mean, yeah, those four especially. So he's always concentrating on those little things. So they sound simple, but obviously they're not simple. But I think there are things that, as he says, the more you improve, the better, because the customers always want to. Nobody's ever going to want a slower delivery or higher prices. So this was a Forbes thing where they ask about 1,000 people what was the best customer service, and Amazon in many things is always ranked number one. Number two to me is a little odd. I mean, I don't think Walmart is customer service number two by any means, but I don't know how they got into this. I mean, and then it's Forbes. It's not like it's a little magazine there.
Yeah, interesting.
So,
I don't know what where they're surveying or what criteria. So yeah, I mean, there's always something that if you want to understand, you have to look more into the data.
yeah, absolutely. But I seen many places where Amazon is always ranked number one, and I think from experiences with people close to you, I mean, you always listening and talking to them, and they always are very happy with, I mean, 95% of the time with how Amazon has treated them. I don't know if that is your experience as well.
Yeah, they're generally responsive as a customer service, and I'm surprised Apple is lower on the list actually.
Yeah, again, I don't, like you said, it's important to see the criteria, but since it was Forbes, I thought I put Forbes the fourth one. This is just came from basically the shareholder letters. I mean, I'm just going to read it because I think it is very interesting, obviously, from the shareholder letters that Mr. Bezos used to write to his shareholders. From the beginning, our focus has been on offering our customers compelling value. We realized that the web was, and still is, the World Wide Web. Therefore, we set out to offer customers something they simply could not get any other way, and begin serving them with books. So again, customer obsession. And he mentioned something very important, I think, for us as entrepreneurs, and always. Word of mouth remains the most powerful customer acquisition tool we have, and we are grateful for the trust our customers have placed in us. Repeat purchases and word of mouth have combined to make Amazon the market leader in online book selling. And this is very, very smart, just because, as you know, I mean, generally word of mouth is free. So, and not only that, it comes from somebody that you trust. It's not like them doing and saying, oh, we are the best delivery platform in the world, we are the best e-commerce. No, it's coming, usually word of mouth comes in from someone that you trust. So obviously it's not only free, it's very powerful.
Yeah, like when your family member just says, get it on Amazon, or, you know, they make it really convenient of, like, for example, when people have bridal showers and they have a registry, a lot of times people are buying the gifts from Amazon, and even if the registry is also a Target, but Amazon makes it very easy for a lot of people to just get the gifts for a wedding or something, and all the other kinds of use cases that Amazon helps consumers with.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And this is another one of his phrases. Don't get scared. This is the last one. Cash flow is everything. Our ultimate financial measure, and the one we most want to drive over the long term, is free cash flow per share. Why not focus first and foremost, as many do, on earnings per share or earnings growth? The simple answer is that earnings don't directly translate into cash flow, and shares are worth only the present value of the future cash flow, not the present value of their future earnings. Future earnings are a component, but not the only important component of future cash flow per share. Working capital and capital expenditures are also important as a future that share dilution. Though some might find it intuitive. A company can actually impair shareholder value in certain circumstances by growing earnings. This happens when the capital investments required for growth exceeds the present value of the cash flow derived from those investments. And in that letter, he has this little example, but basically, obviously, what he's saying and what we've been talking about, how they always working to get that cash flow coming. And again, less capital investment, growing that accounts payable, that brings more cash flow, keeping the inventory at the same while they sell the same amount of money, which I mean, it means that inventory is rotating faster. So I mean, less amount of money has to be tied up to the business. So all this has always been in Jeff's mind. So I just think those two little points that he always mentions during his shareholder letters is customer obsessed, but obviously thinking of the math. Every dollar counts. So lessons, Amazon remind me of a famous phrase from Sam Walton. This comes from the book Made in America, which to me, and Jeff Bezos mentions a lot of this book during his different talks during the years. There's only one boss, the customers, and he can fire everybody in the company from the chairman down simply by spending his money somewhere else. And this is such a truth. I mean, cash flow, I mean, I'm not gonna, cash flow will always be on your mind as an investor, entrepreneur, or anything related to business. Long-term thinking brings a big competitive advantage. This is another thing that when the companies are founder-led, they usually have this big advantage over the president that is just there for 2 years and he might be about to retire, because the decisions are completely different. And a lot of decisions of big executives taken in the short term, it might bring obviously earnings up and cash flow up in the short term, but it might hurt a brand on the long term.
Right.
What will Buffett like? For sure, the management when Bezos was in charge, he has profound admiration for him. He has talked in many interviews about how impressed he is. I mean, he knew he was smart, but he didn't knew he was going to be able to do it in 2 segments, like it was AWS and commerce. The cash flow management of the company, the customer centric, the monopolistic characteristics. Like as we said, I think Amazon has, I mean, obviously it's kind of like a monopoly, but again, as we talked before, I feel like them having third-party sellers in their platform is not really a monopoly because there are little businesses inside them. Long-term thinking culture. All this to me is what I mean makes Amazon what it is. And now I want to make a personal opinion, and I would like you to invite you to this part, because I don't know if you always heard, but I just seen so many documentaries and so many people that work at Amazon, and they're always complaining of how metric. I mean, they have, I don't know, 2 minutes to go to a restroom, 1 minute to eat, and all this. We always, I mean, people are always complaining and saying, "Oh, wow, how bad that is." But at the same time, that's what makes Amazon Amazon, and I think they do pay higher wages than the same work in other places. But obviously, there are a lot of things that people don't like to do. I mean, obviously, it's not fun to be measured how long you take to go to a restaurant. But a lot of these people also, I don't think, for the workers to go to a restaurant, we like to pay maybe $200 on Prime, you know. So that is the big thing to me, that people like criticize Amazon, but I mean, they are not willing to pay more. So just for every person that don't like Amazon or has maybe that sentiment towards them, I invite you guys to think how this is what is able to bring the cost that they charge us for Prime. Not, I mean, if they will be relaxed with times and not be so efficient as they are, there is no way they can charge that Prime. Because that, I mean, that supply chain is, I mean, it is a big thing. I mean, it's very interesting. Obviously, we cannot talk about that because it's very, very broad and very, very big. But yeah, what do you think about that? What I just said, Michelle?
Yeah, and I think I've seen something similar about how some of the Amazon warehouse workers, they're very having to stick to a very disciplined schedule. And I think I watched something like a documentary once of one of the workers, how, you know, he goes into the parking lot and the things he has to do in the day, and then when he goes back, and like he seems to be kind of just, you know, working, eating, sleeping, like he seems to live a very regimented life. And you know, maybe that's one aspect in that kind of job. It requires that kind of dedication, but I'm sure there are many other jobs at Amazon and corporate jobs where the schedule is a little bit less intense, where you have to know what you're signing up for when you work at a place. So things like that. I mean, I can understand why some people might complain, and there's a lot of those metrics, but that, like you said, it's part of why Amazon is so successful. And at least like the pay is competitive with other places. So maybe if people don't want to be pushed as much, they could work somewhere else that maybe they're not being paid as much as what they might get at Amazon. And I mean, it's definitely hard to judge because I'm on the outside, so I don't know what it's really like. And I'm sure that's part of why, you know, as has been happening with other places, there were some efforts to unionize at Amazon and Starbucks and like the Detroit automakers, like they've been in a union for a long time, but a lot of people seem to want to have better working conditions. So sometimes, I mean, it's like a tug of war between the corporate priorities and what makes sense for humans to work. And I think part of maybe what, you know, some of the advancements in AI and robotics might bring is to help with some of the work-life balance, so that maybe they don't have to require some of the workers to work quite as hard. And if some of their efforts can be supplemented by AI, I'm not sure to what the full extent of what Project Nessie might cover, but I imagine that they want to make some more efficiencies, so that hopefully that's both a win-win, not just for the company and the shareholders, but also the people who work at Amazon. Because even though the customer has the money to spend and can take it elsewhere, there's nothing quite like Amazon out there that, you know, you can get almost everything under the sun and get it in the next few hours or next day. There's almost nothing out there that does exactly what Amazon does. So it plays a necessary role in our economy, and it's been a tremendous convenience and benefit to society in many ways. So there's always, like, you know, good and bad with what some corporations do. Some things are like kind of great for society, and other parts that kind of like the not so great aspect of it. And you know, you have to decide what you're willing to live with, and kind of what your own values are, and if they're aligned with this company. And another thing I wanted to mention was like what you were mentioning with Jeff Bezos's shareholder letters. This investing author named Laura Rittenhouse, she's actually talked about and conveyed before how much he's a strong shareholder-minded person, that if you would have invested in Amazon like 20 years ago, you'd probably be a multi-millionaire, because of all these strong signs that tend to correlate. And Laura Rittenhouse has so many books and materials out there that can show you how you can evaluate shareholder letters to see if this is a high quality CEO and if they're delivering. And it's pretty amazing that you picked up on that too. And I don't know if you've read any of Laura's books, but you're capturing kind of similar sentiments of emphasizing cash flow and the customer focus. These are all things that Buffett also very much focuses on.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that is a good. I didn't know about her, but I might check her out. But thanks for the advice.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty great that like you notice the same things, that part of what makes Amazon such a great company is how much you know, that focus from Jeff Bezos. And I'll be curious to see if Andy Jassy, the current CEO who took over for Bezos, like if he can live up to similar culture expectations of what Bezos laid down.
yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. I mean, I think it's so ingrained in the culture, especially probably in the upper management, that is, I mean, he cannot change it or hurt it that much, I guess. But yeah, who knows? Who
Yeah.
knows?
So I mean, like their Amazon is a huge force of nature, and I mean, or not nature, it's a huge force of people coming together. And part of what also when we're talking about like the anti-competitive or monopolistic things that are in the news, like with the FTC, some of that, like you said, they also have the third party independent sellers on the platform, which as long as Amazon is treating them fairly and charging them an appropriate amount, because in theory, some of those people could go to Shopify, right? Like maybe maybe they could stand up a business on Shopify. And I used to think Shopify might be a potential competitor to Amazon, but what do you think about their focus and scale? Are they comparable, or are they kind of still a totally different world?
To be honest with you, you got me there. I don't know the numbers for Shopify. So, but I mean, as you said, I mean, they probably will take some people from them. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I just think I'm not sure if they have that brand. You know, I mean, the brand I think is a promise of for so many people, and Amazon has built through so many years that I just think it's hard to take from them. But as you said, people are obviously trying to make the most amount of money. So who
Yeah.
knows how it's going to affect them.
Yeah, and it's I mean, there's still plenty of retailers out there. It's not like you have to buy your toothpaste from Amazon. You can buy that anywhere. So it's not like they're cornering the market in certain goods and making it truly monopolistic, because then they might really get in trouble. But like you can still buy pretty much the same things you can buy on Amazon anywhere else also for a similar price.
Yeah, absolutely. And I haven't read lately with Walmart, because Walmart I read their annual report like 2 years ago, I think, and the delivery part was very negative. So I mean, they weren't making much money. But I'm curious to check. I don't know if you have the numbers on them lately on how that part of the business is doing, because I mean they were going very big into this, but
Yeah.
I'm not
I
100% sure.
I think somehow their delivery probably hasn't picked up as much yet. Like I think they've been trying and they made some acquisitions there, but I don't know how much of that is really, kind of holding its weight. I'm guessing more people probably still prefer to go to Walmart if they're going to get things from Walmart. Like I'm sure some people do delivery, and I've gotten things delivered before from Walmart, but not as much as say Amazon, because of kind of the sheer convenience and things like that sometimes. And also the other wonderful thing that Amazon does is similar to a Costco model, even though Charlie Munger will say that Costco is better than Amazon because that's his opinion, and he was a board member of Costco. But one thing that Amazon does with the Prime is having that membership thing. So by getting a lot of people, that's where a lot of the profit comes from, is having the Prime membership. So if Amazon didn't have that, they might struggle like more retailers. But because they offer that extra benefit for this higher margin product, this membership, like people are paying that more than $100 every year, and whether they order one package or 100 packages, like Amazon is collecting that fee. So that's just gravy for Amazon, and I'm sure it helps to help fund a lot of the e-commerce operations.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, I mean, I should have mentioned that, but honestly, it's weird, but it wasn't in the annual report, which is where I guess most of the information. It was, I mean, they didn't really mention that, unless I missed it, but I'm pretty sure and yeah, I did look into it, and they have like 200 million members, I believe. And times, like you said, is what's Prime now, 130, 140?
Yeah, somewhere around there, I think.
So that is almost, yeah, 30 billion in basically just nothing spent. And as you said, I mean, that makes, when you are a member of something, it makes you buy more, because obviously you want to justify being a member of that. And also, like as you said, we didn't talk that much about the whole spectrum of how they bring new things, like the movies and all this, that just makes it more compelling to, and more a better value for the customer to be a member.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've come up with some good shows and movies on their Amazon Prime, so that's pretty great. And Thursday Night Football, I'm sure, draws some people in. So yeah, Amazon is a huge juggernaut, and like it'll be interesting to see, you know, how much they do with AI. Like if that's the next great thing that comes out, you know, when they came out with the Kindle and all the other Amazon innovations, like that were, you know, in secret and then became a big deal. So I guess we'll see what happens. But thank you so much, Alejandro, for going over Amazon with us. It was great to learn from you about all the progress they've made, and definitely some areas that I'm sure they're wanting to expand more internationally. But I'm sure that will, you know, they're trying to focus on the areas where Alibaba is not, because I'm sure Alibaba has a big stronghold. But that's maybe another topic for another time. So thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.